Hello, podheads, and welcome back to another episode of Over My Dead Pod. I'm Kylie Colwell,
This is Kate Carter.
and this year I decided, or you may have already noticed, I'm doing cases that keep me up at night.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yes. So this is another rabbit hole one I've been following forever, and this story has been going ongoing for 25 years with no real clue as to what happened on Valentine's Day in the year 2000.
What is it?
Thanks to advanced DNA testing, we may have a real answer coming soon. And you may have seen this case pop back up in the news thanks to these new developments. So I want to give everyone like the full background and catch everyone up so we can all follow along together. This is the story of the disappearance of 9-year-old Asha Degree and the seemingly normal family that lived just down the street.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think I've heard recent updates. Is this about to blow my mind? I haven't heard this story in a few years.
It blew my mind, so I think it'll blow your mind too.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, for those who don't know this story, this is a really good one and it's really sad too.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's really sad. So, and this is a local story.
Yes. For the listeners, they may be confused because
Confused.
we're like,
We live
we're
in Florida now, but we're not Floridians.
we're from North Carolina and we're Floridians. So
Yeah. So if we say a local case, it either happened in North Carolina, it could have happened in Arkansas where where Holly is, or it could have happened in Florida. But in this case, I'm pretty sure this was down the street, kind of in the middle of where you grew up and I grew up.
yeah, this is about like an hour from where I grew up.
Yep. Yep.
So let's get started. Aisha was your typical goody two shoes kid. She was consistently student of the week in her fourth grade class. She was the star point guard on her basketball team, and she loved going to Bible study at her family's church. Aisha was also super shy, very cautious of strangers, and like other kids, she had her fears. She was absolutely terrified of dogs, unfortunately, the dark, and thunderstorms. Her parents, Harold and Akila, really raised a good kid along with her older brother, O'Brien, who was 11 months older than her. They lived in a house on Oak Crest Drive, a little subdivision in a rural area north of Shelby, North Carolina, which is about like an hour west of Charlotte. So Mom Akila worked a 9 to 5 at a local piano manufacturer, and Dad Harold was a second shift dock loader nearby. So with these work schedules, the kids would let themselves into the house after school. They had their own keys. They do their own homework, their chores before their parents ever got home. So while they were independent in this way, the parents definitely kept an eye on them and did everything to keep them safe. The kids knew not to open the door for strangers. Aisha would even ask her mom for permission before opening it for family members that lived across the street. There were no computers in the house. Mom recalled making that decision after seeing news reports of children being groomed online, and obviously that was enough for her. No computers in the house. The kids could watch TV, but it was limited what they watched and it was all monitored. So all the safeguards in place, or so they thought. So I want to make it really clear there's like no drama in the house, there's no problems, there's no reason for Aisha to leave, which is what makes all this even more strange. To get an idea of how normal things were, I'm going to go through the few days leading up to her disappearance. The weekend before was a long one. School was closed Friday for a 3-day weekend. Aisha and her brother spent the day at their aunt's house, which is in the same neighborhood, while their parents were at work. Later in the day, they both had basketball practice. The next day, Saturday, the 12th of February, Aisha's team lost their first game of the season, and Aisha actually fouled out and had to sit out the rest of the game. So she was, of course, upset about this, which is understandable. She did cry a little, but so did some of her other teammates. Her parents said she seemed to have gotten over it pretty quickly. She stayed and watched her brother's game after. The next morning, the family went to Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church for the 11 a.m. service and afterwards headed to the aunt's house for lunch, spending most of the afternoon there. Aisha was so worn out from the weekend, she laid down as soon as they got home around 6:30 p.m., dozing off for a bit. And then a thunderstorm rolled in. Like I said earlier, Aisha was terrified of storms, so she went and joined her mom and brother in the living room and they watched TV together. Oddly enough, another fear of Aisha struck. Around 9 p.m., there was a car accident outside of the neighborhood and the power went out due to the car hitting the electric pole. So the entire neighborhood was blackout dark. By now, it was around the kids' bedtime, so their mom told them to just go to bed. She'll wake them up earlier tomorrow to take a bath before school when the power comes back on. Aisha changed into a white nightgown with red trim and teddy bear printed on the front and went off to bed in the room she shared with her brother. So Dad Harold didn't get home from work until around 12:30 a.m. on the 14th. He has stopped at a store after work to pick up some Valentine's candy for his wife and kids. Fun fact, or actually really, really sad fact, their wedding anniversary was Valentine's Day.
Oh, that is really sad.
So when Harold got home, he checked on the kids, as he always did, and both were sound asleep in bed. The power was back on by now, and he stayed up for a bit watching TV. When he went to bed around 2:30, he checked on the kids again, and again, they were all both still asleep. So we now know at about this time, O'Brien heard Aisha's bed squeak. He assumed she had like gotten up to go to the bathroom or just repositioning herself. So he didn't open his eyes or ask any questions. But Aisha wasn't doing any of these things. She was packing a backpack with several sets of clothes and a few of her favorite items. Aisha then walked out of the house. No one knew she was gone until the next morning. Mama Akila woke up around 5:45 and started running a bath. She then went to the kids' rooms and found only one of her kids, O'Brien. He didn't know where Aisha was, and her bed was unmade, and she always made her bed before she got up and started getting ready for the day. In a scramble, they ran around the house looking for her. They checked the family cars, the backyard, everywhere. The family called everyone they knew, and no one had seen Aisha. Harold's mom and sister lived like directly across the street. They checked over there. She wasn't there either. At 6:39 a.m., Harold called 911 to report his daughter Aisha as missing, noting in the call her backpack was gone too. Police arrived only a minute later and quickly began to search. Aisha's mom had been running up and down the neighborhood, calling out her name, and in the process, waking the entire neighborhood up. Immediately, everyone from neighbors, family, friends, and people from the church canceled their plans for the day and came to the house to help search. So we have hundreds of people and a bunch of officers on foot searching around a 3-mile radius going out from the house. At noon, a helicopter was dispatched to search from the air. At 2 p.m., the Degrees' house was taped off and searched for evidence and clues. It was apparent that there were no signs of forced entry and no signs of foul play. And according to the mom, when she woke up and started to search for Aisha, both the front and back door were locked. It was odd, to say the least, but the searches continued. Unfortunately, the only thing that was found the first day was a mitten. This was later confirmed to not belong to Aisha, and none of her winter clothing was missing. As the news of Aisha's disappearance hit the news, tips of sightings immediately came in. The first reported sighting came from a truck driver named Jeff. After seeing the reports of Aisha disappearing on the news, he was like, "Oh shit, I think I saw this girl." Jeff reported that sometime between 3:45 and 4:15 a.m., he saw Aisha wearing a long-sleeved white t-shirt and white pants walking south on Highway 18 just north of the junction with Highway 180. So for context, the Degrees neighborhood is like right off of Highway 18 and then Highway 180 south and they meet. So he says he saw her about a mile south from where her house is. So he passed her and he thought, that's weird. I think that's a little kid. So he does a U turn, goes back down. He's like, okay, yeah, confirms it is a little kid. U turns again. So he pulls up beside her and he calls out to the girl, but the girl ran off into the woods. Police say Jeff's account is very credible. It matches with what they know she was wearing, and Jeff passed a polygraph. For the listeners, Kate made a face.
I mean, when you say like a dude saw a little girl in the middle of the night at like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, and then she ran off into the woods, and then he passes a polygraph saying that, oh yeah, what he said is true. It don't give me any, it doesn't get to me no credibility. Like it's just okay, he definitely saw a girl. Now, whether or not was he involved in something or not, the polygraph doesn't get it doesn't tell me shit.
Polygraphs keep coming up, so maybe I just like won't bring them up
Great. Just
to not.
censor it the entire time.
I don't want to trigger you.
I'm already triggered.
So we have a second sighting from another truck driver. This guy is named Roy, and he's actually a retired sheriff's deputy. Roy and his son were driving down on Highway 18 when he says around 4:15 a.m., about the same time, he saw a small girl in white clothing. He couldn't actually tell if it was a child or just like a small woman. I'm sure his brain was like, there's no way there's a child walking along the highway at 4 in the morning. Like, it's just got to be a woman, you know?
Hmm.
brain tricking you. He's like, okay, that's weird. He kept driving, but he did radio to the other truckers on the road, say, hey, watch out for a pedestrian, make sure no one hits her. And he kept driving all the way to Chicago. And once there, he called his wife back home and he was like, yeah, there's like this weird girl or woman on the road. And his wife was like, oh, that's Asha Degree. So Roy drove all the way back to North Carolina to report this in person.
Why? There's a phone. Pick up the phone, call. You don't need to be there in person.
I don't know. I don't know why. Now the search crew at least had a direction that they think Aisha went, and they started with the woods that she ran off into, and this led them to the Turner family property. They asked the family if they could search around, and they're like, yeah, go right ahead. Everyone in this community, I'll tell you, like stepped the fuck up.
Which we love to see. And especially like, I mean, I don't want to say it's because it was a young girl, but it was because it was a young girl. But also the community was just good.
Yeah. On the property, they had a couple sheds, they had an outhouse, a bunch of different little buildings. But in one of the sheds, investigators found candy wrappers, a pencil, a green marker, and a yellow hair bow. These items were shown to the Degree family and confirmed to be Aisha's. Aisha's mom was able to put together a list of what she knew was taken with her. And here's the list. So she had a black Tweety Bird purse that she had won for being student of the week. She had her house key, candy, black overalls with Tweety Bird on them, blue jeans with red stripes on each leg, a red vest with black trim, a long sleeved black and white shirt, a long sleeved all white shirt, and the white nightgown she had on when she went to bed. There was one odd thing found in the shed, though, besides Aisha's stuff, was a photo of a young black girl about the same age, but it wasn't a photo of Aisha, and no one knows who it is. To this day, no one has identified the girl in this photo.
That's weird. That's weird.
Scent tracking dogs were brought out again to try and find a scent trail from the shed, but no scent could be found. They had also brought the dogs out to the house originally the first day, but they couldn't find a scent either. After a week of searching and trying to get as much media attention as possible, the ground search was called off. Over 9,000 man hours were put into the search, and everything had been covered in that 3 mile radius. When I first read that the search was called off after like only a week, I was very confused. I'm sure
Yeah.
some of you are as well. But the sheriff explained that they've covered like every square inch of that 3 mile radius, and Aisha's not there. So now she could be anywhere. It's now a national search. The FBI and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation were called in, and both organizations added Aisha to their database of missing children. From the start, both thought this whole thing is weird. Aisha is only 9 and does not fit the typical runaway kid or teenager profile. But there's also no evidence pointing to her being abducted or lured away. So we don't hear of 9-year-olds running away. Aisha doesn't have anything to run away from. She had a great family and no issues. She wasn't using the internet. And then, other than being home with her brother after school, she wasn't without parent or family supervision. Every single family member was interviewed and polygraphed. Not a single red flag with any of them. Even more weird, it was pitch black out at 4 in the morning and it was storming, two things Aisha was afraid of. As weird as it was, the only theory that the FBI had was that she did just walk out of the house really early that morning for some unknown reason, locked the door behind her, and either got off track and is lost somewhere, or she was abducted in the process. With any case, I love to check Reddit theories. What are the people thinking? What are they saying? So the one that kept popping up was the fact that the 14th, Valentine's Day, was her parents' wedding anniversary. So a lot of theories are like maybe she was trying to go out to the store and buy them a gift before they woke up. So that keeps popping
Packed
up.
everything.
She packed several outfits of clothes.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
One thing that is a little weird though, when the FBI interviewed her friends and classmates, they said that on February 10th, Aisha showed them cash in her wallet. They didn't say how much, but she didn't say where it came from. And when her parents were told this, they had no idea where she got the money either. She didn't have an allowance. They didn't give it to her. A lot of theories are like, okay, maybe someone was grooming her and giving her money. But I don't know.
That's immediately what I think is, I mean, I think somebody was giving her money.
if she was being groomed, maybe this person lured her out by saying, "Oh, we can go get a gift for your parents." That was the kind of lore ruse that was used in the Amy Mihaljevic case. So that's possible. But like I said, and Kate pointed out, packing several outfits to go out to the store doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm. She was running away. That's what I have in my head is she was running away.
So while the FBI and State Bureau of Investigation are still searching and investigating every lead, the family is trying to get as much media attention as possible. Flyers were posted everywhere. The sheriff's department even put up a big billboard with Aisha's picture and information where she was last spotted before running into the woods. The billboard is still there to this day. The family went on the Montel Williams show, America's Most Wanted, and Oprah aired segments looking for her whereabouts. A local race car driver put her face on his car, and local companies put her photo on their work trucks. Hundreds and hundreds of tips came in and were looked into. Most of them were something simple like, hey, there's this like weird abandoned house near where I live. Did you look at it? Oh, there's this well I know of. Did you check it out? But despite all this local media attention and a little bit of national, nothing was found.
Honestly, I totally think she was getting groomed.
Oh, you really don't know about the new updates.
No, I don't. I literally don't. I haven't heard it in years, so I didn't even know there were new updates.
I'm so excited to get that part. So it took 1 year of nothing until a break in the case came. In August of 2001, a construction worker in Morganton, which is 26 miles north, found a child's backpack wrapped in two black trash bags and buried. The worker opened the trash bags and the backpack, and on the inside was Aisha's name and phone number. The sheriff's office secured the site and began to search for more within 45 minutes of getting this call. Nothing else was found, but the FBI took the backpack back to Quantico for forensic testing. By now, it was obvious that Aisha did not bury her own backpack 26 miles away, and foul play was now the main theory. At the time, the FBI did not release any information about what was in the backpack or any results from their testing. They do eventually, so remember the backpack, it'll come back up. But after this backpack, the investigative team hit another dead end and nothing else came up. There were false tips and confessions, of course, as with every case. An inmate in 2004 said Aisha was buried at an intersection in Lawndale, North Carolina. The sheriff's office dug up the site and found animal bones. Another inmate in 2020 wrote to a local newspaper that Aisha had been murdered and he knew where to find her. This was quickly proven false by investigators. And then we don't hear anything about the investigation until February 2015, 15 years later.
Can you imagine just the whole time wondering and waiting?
The family's sitting there like, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing's going on. The FBI announced that all the teams, they're starting over. Back to square one. They're going back through the scene, they're re examining everything, and they're re interviewing every witness and every person in Aisha's life. They also announced a $25,000 reward for information. And this worked out because they uncovered something new. And I don't know if this is like a new tip that came in or if this was like there all along and they lost it or they glossed over something
Yeah,
important.
whatever.
But the FBI was now very adamant that Aisha got into a dark green early 70s Lincoln Continental Mark IV or a Ford Thunderbird around the same age. They said the car had rust on its wheel wells and two passengers in the car.
They're saying this after that many years.
15 years later.
So, do you think that's something that they always knew and had investigated and never released it to the public, or do you think that that was new information?
It seemed like the way it was announced that it was new information.
That's nuts.
And when they announced this, they didn't say if Aisha like willingly got into the car or if she was forced in. They left it kind of vague. So they released information about the car and then they conduct 300 more interviews and then another dead end. It's quiet until 2024. So I remember the day this happened. It was all over the news and the internet. Can't believe you missed it, Kate. In September of 2024, people found out the FBI were executing a search warrant at a house about 3 miles from where Aisha was last seen and confirmed the search was in connection to her disappearance. So remember the backpack? Well, the FBI was able to find two samples of DNA that were not Aisha's and they found matches. When I was writing the script, I Okay, I tried to write it without naming names because no one's been charged. Spoiler alert. But the names are out there and it'd be confusing if I didn't.
Yeah.
So, for legality reasons, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. And these are just opinions. The first sample came back as a match to a man named Russell Bradley Underhill. So, at the time of Aisha's disappearance, he's an elderly man. He's living on a property owned by Roy and Connie Deadman. And Russell actually passed away in 2004. The second DNA sample came back as a match to one of the Deadman's daughters, Anna Lee. So Roy and Connie Deadman, they live at a house on Cherryville Road, the one that was searched. The Deadmans have three daughters, Lizzie, Sarah, and Anna Lee. And at the time of Aisha's disappearance, Lizzie was 16, Sarah was 15, and Anna Lee was 13. The Deadmans owned a bunch of properties and an assisted living facility in Charlotte. From what I could gather, it seemed like the dad, Roy, had like elderly tenants in these rental properties and he cared for like elderly people. So like he was this guy, Russell's legal medical decision maker, and he would like drive his tenants to and from like doctor's appointments and hospitals and stuff like that. And Roy would also have his older daughters drive these tenants to appointments and stuff too. So maybe a reason why Russell's DNA was found. Personally believe Russell has like zero connection to this case. I think his DNA is just it got mixed up. He was probably in one of the vehicles, which we will talk about. So inside of the backpack was a New Kids on the Block t-shirt and a Dr. Seuss book. The book did come from Aisha's elementary school library, but it wasn't checked out by her, and the school had no record of who did. The t-shirt also wasn't Aisha's. So using genealogy, the FBI was able to confirm that a sample from the t-shirt belonged to a child of Roy and Connie Deadman, who was later confirmed to be Anna Lee's. And since Anna Lee was 13 at the time, investigators were like, okay, we need to look somewhere else in the family. Not saying it's impossible, but it probably was not a 13-year-old girl. So they find out that Sarah, the middle daughter, was driving a green 1964 AMC Rambler at the time. And the car was very similar to the one that the FBI said Aisha got into. So when the FBI released information about the car back in 2016, they didn't specify if she got into it willingly or was forced into. In the now released application for the search warrant, it says, quote, an eyewitness stated they saw Asha Degree being pulled into a 1970s model green in color Lincoln Thunderbird or similar vehicle. The 1964 AMC Rambler has very similar features to a 1970s model Lincoln Thunderbird. What is believed to be the AMC Rambler is dark green in color with front end damage, is parked at 601 Cherryville Road. End quote. So a couple things. The family still has a car. We have an eyewitness saying they saw Aisha being pulled into a car. And this information was either like never relayed to authorities or they just skipped over it.
That's mind blowing.
Anyways, on September 11th, 2024, the FBI headed to the Deadman's house, which was being rented out by a tenant, and they executed the search warrant. Roy and Connie are now separated and living elsewhere, but a lot of Roy's things are still at the house, including the green car. The current tenant told the FBI that there's 3 padlocked rooms in the house that Roy said he could never enter. Weird. Another family member told the FBI that she saw Roy digging a chest-deep hole on the property.
I'm sorry. What? Okay. No, Tyler, give me a logical answer of what a chest deep hole you would put in there.
A septic tank is the only like plausible answer. The only one I think is acceptable.
That's a big deal to do a septic tank.
And I don't know when this family member saw the hole being dug, but
You're just now saying it.
yeah.
Yeah, this is nuts.
So the whole property was searched extensively, but spoiler alert, there were no human remains found. Of the items seized, though, include all the electronics, and Roy's DNA sample was taken. Authorities also searched another house in Shelby, a house in Vale, Connie's house, and the assisted living home they own in Charlotte. When the news of the searches and the photos of the green car hit the media, like I said, it was pure chaos on the internet. Theories were running rampant. And it felt like most people were pointing to Roy, the dad, which makes sense. You're like, okay, little girl goes missing. It's the old pedophile down the street. It's gotta
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But it appears investigators are leaning towards something else. that one of the daughters hit Aisha with that green car, and Aisha's death was covered up by one or both of the parents. The application for the search warrant states, quote, due to the ages of Roy Dedman and Connie Dedman's three daughters in the year of 2000, investigators believe adult assistance from Roy Dedman and Connie Dedman would have been necessary in the execution and or concealment of the crime, end quote. So other clues we have pointing to Aisha being struck by the car include the fact that they specifically stated in the warrant that the car has front end damage. And I'll pull up a photo of it, but you can still see the damage on the car, which they still have this old ass car.
Why would you have, if this all did occur the way that they're thinking it occurred, why would you have kept that car?
I guess to keep an eye on it. If they sell it or get rid of it, then someone would see the car. Or if they just hide it on their property, out of sight, out of mind. Investigators also found out through interviews that Roy occasionally would have his older daughters drive patients to and from a hospital in Morganton. And Morganton is where the backpack was found. And the quickest route to this hospital was Highway 18, where Aisha was last seen. So, who is responsible, or at least who can we theorize? Well, shortly after Sarah, the middle daughter's interview with the FBI, a tip came in. An acquaintance of the daughter, who regularly partied with them, said one night Sarah was drunk at a party and got upset, and she allegedly started crying and admitted to killing Aisha, saying, quote, I killed Asha Degree, end quote. This man said the other sister, Lizzie, was there consoling her and told her to, quote, shut the fuck up, end quote.
If you get belligerently drunk and you say that you killed someone, as someone who's never killed someone, I would never say that belligerently drunk. Like that's just not, they always say like the truth comes out when you're drunk or high or whatever, stuff like that. But like if you're innocent, you do not say those things.
Yeah, what's that saying? Like drunk words or sober thoughts.
Thoughts, yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole sister saying that too is just,
Yeah, like, no, you didn't.
yeah.
Shut the fuck up. And fun fact, Kate, the man who reported this, passed a polygraph.
Shocker. So we don't even know if he was telling the truth. Oh, whatever.
So I don't want people to think we're just like pointing fingers for no reason. But I think this little next bit of information will help. In February of 2025, so just recently, the FBI released the text messages that the daughters were sending to each other after the search warrant was executed. They're juicy. And there's a lot, so bear with me.
Okay.
So on September 10th, the day Sarah was interviewed, she texted her older sister Lizzie in the following three texts back to back. Quote, they think it's our shirt. It's not her shirt. Her mom said it wasn't hers. I don't remember that shirt. I'm scared though. Dad is probably going to be a huge suspect. End quote. As we know, the new Kids on the Block t-shirt in her backpack was not Aisha's. So it seems, to me at least, that it was accidentally thrown in there with her belongings.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
The next day, the youngest daughter, Annalie, texted Lizzie, quote, Lizzie, you don't need to be talking to anyone. I'm at the lawyer's office. He advised we should all not talk to them without representation, end quote. Normal thing to do. The same day, though, after this, Lizzie texted her ex-husband, quote, this is going to get nothing but worse. I'm talking to my doctor at 5 to get something for my nerves. I'm just so worried. So worried. I mean, it's a nightmare that's going to keep getting worse. I can see nothing good happening anytime soon. And I'm an optimist. End quote. What the ex-husband responds back with is such typical man response. I had to laugh. He said, quote, oh no, hate that for y'all. End quote.
Ex-husband, right?
Yep.
He don't give a fuck. He knows. He knows what happened.
On the 12th, Lizzie texted Sarah, quote, I just talked to David Teddy, who's the family lawyer. The theory is I did it. Accident covered it up. End quote. Sarah responded with no. Why would it be you? And Lizzie said, that's what he said. The same day, Lizzie texted her ex-husband again and said, quote, I feel so horrible, so horrible. I don't know what to do. I caused this, end quote.
Okay, so when's this trial happening, Kelly?
Like I said earlier, no one's been arrested.
Wait, they haven't been arrested? I thought they hadn't been convicted.
No one's been arrested. So Lizzie also texted Sarah, quote, "Hey, is everybody mad at me?" End quote. Sarah said, "Nobody is, Lizzie. This is not your fault," in all caps. So these texts don't sound the most innocent.
No, she needs some validation there.
No, it definitely seems like they know what happened, but I can't say for certain at this point in the text who did what.
Yeah.
So on September 28th, 2024, the FBI asked Lizzie to sit down for an interview and polygraph. At this point, they had only spoken to Sarah, but Lizzie and her ex husband refused. Afterwards, Lizzie texted Sarah, and there's quite a bit, so bear with me. She said, quote, "I'm just so anxious about like what's going on behind the scenes. Like, what are they doing now? What's going to happen to me since I wouldn't talk to them? I'm afraid it's going to get worse. Well, he told me it's going to," end quote. Sarah responded with, quote, "I know, girl, I'm a disaster. I think if they come at you again, just go and be compliant. That's what I'm planning on doing." Lizzie's next text said, quote, "I think so too. Honestly, I mean, I want to do what dad says, but damn." Sarah said, quote, "And maybe we should have let you do what you originally wanted to do," end quote. So what they want to do, what dad Roy wants to do, no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. We just know it was different.
Texts go on for a bit about not wanting their dad to get into trouble, going to their lawyer to get a polygraph with, quote, "honest people," end quote, and of course, protecting their mental health because that's so important to them right now. But the texts end with a bigger clue as to who might have been involved. Sarah texted Lizzie, quote, "I really just don't have it in me to go through what you have been through." Lizzie said, "It's been hell." Sarah responded with, quote, "Just hearing about your situation has made me a disaster," end quote. Then, Lizzie texted back in all caps, quote, "Hearing about it," end quote. So, like I said earlier, no arrests have been made. We're recording this on March 31st. After the property was searched, the family's attorney held a press conference and basically pointed fingers at Russell Underhill, the guy that died in 2004. The attorney said all the families had been interviewed by investigators by now, so we'll see where this goes. And that is where the case stands right now, at least with the information that we have publicly available to us.
I'm a little confused. I mean, I guess I can see it both ways though, of like, I feel like there's a lot of text information happening. Nothing is blatantly said, but I feel like they need one piece of physical evidence to really just be like, we can tie all the knots.
Or one of these sisters to crack.
Yeah,
Don't think it'll take that much for them to crack.
I don't either. I feel like they're under enough stress.
And I think being publicly named is helping to
Huge.
crack them.
So I mean, wouldn't it that would kill me.
So I'm sure it won't be long until we hear more, and hopefully it won't be too much longer until we have answers and justice. The Degree family still holds out hope and have said until it is concrete, they are going to believe that Aisha is still alive and out there somewhere. In 2008, the family set up a scholarship for a local student in Aisha's name. The family also started an annual walk from the house to the billboard where Aisha was last seen, which still stands on Highway 18 to this day. The walk was originally held on Valentine's Day, the date of her disappearance, but is now held on the 7th so that the holiday isn't as somber. On the 25th anniversary this year, the family sat down with reporters from the Charlotte Observer and were asked about the search warrant and information that came from it. The family said all they can do is to hope, pray, and wait for answers. If you have any information that could push this case forward, please submit a tip online to the FBI or call the FBI Charlotte Field Office at 704 672 6100. Tips can also be submitted to the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office at 704 484 4888 or on their website, sheriffclevelandcounty.com. And that was the ongoing story of Asha Degree.
What do you think happened?
I think one of the sisters was driving
Yeah.
with Highway 18 for something in the morning. I don't know, drunk,
Yeah.
out, sneaking out, wasn't supposed to be out, and hit her and panicked and threw her in the car. And I don't know if it's the dad, the mom, and the dad, but obviously, like the investigators think, it had to have been covered up by adult somehow,
Yeah. I'm on the same page. I think she was accidentally hit and then it just was covered up.
which is an insane thing to do, first off. And then it seems like the whole family knows what happened and they've kept the secret for 25 years.
Right. I mean, okay, let's say one of the girls was drunk. Let's say whoever hit her was drunk, they would get in trouble.
Mhm.
If they weren't drunk, it could be completely accidental, like off with no issue. Like there's ways that this it couldn't have been like, we need to automatically cover up. Otherwise, you're going to jail for the rest of your life, kind of thing. It's very, I don't know. I feel like I feel like it was an accident, and it was the cover up part that really just is.
Yeah. Like, even if it was complete, I could see how, like, a 15 or 16-year-old girl panics and is thinking, I'm going straight to jail for life if it was.
Absolutely.
So I understand that part. But
Yeah,
the insane cover up after the fact,
it's not good.
no bueno.
No. But I 100%, I didn't know about any of those texts, Kylie. So that's like mind blowing to me. 100% they had something to do with it.
You don't say those things.
No, that's so weird. That's such weird behavior. Yeah, there's no way.
So hopefully soon, one, maybe all of them will be arrested. Hopefully. Somebody.
Yeah. Or just like, I mean, they're going to be arrested now, but like answers would be nice. 25 years after it happened, right?
Yep. We will keep you guys updated. Check out our Instagram. I'll post updates there if we get any more soon. Guys,
I don't know. Do we want to talk about it? I think we can. I do. I think we can. Obviously, no names.
we'll be vague.
Yeah, we're going to be very vague about this because it is kind of a touchy subject and it's ongoing at the moment, but it's also very personal to us at Over My Dead Pod. So we don't want to hinder anyone's reputation, get in trouble, or speak negatively of potentially the ill.
This is very well spoken.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to like, okay, something something happened to us last week. Something was brought to our attention last week at Over My Dead Pod. So, as you all know who listen to this podcast, but if you don't know for some reason, Kylie, Holly, and myself, Kate, we all went to law school together. Kylie and Holly are now attorneys. They finished, did their own thing. They're now full on attorneys. One of our classmates, who was a good classmate, like academic wise,
Very, very smart. Thought, okay, this is gonna be like top-notch attorney, maybe president one day.
I mean, I myself ran against him for class president, so like it was a competition with him 24/7 kind of thing.
So a couple weeks ago, we start noticing this guy. He's posting weird things on Instagram.
Like on his stories. He's posting stories that we started screenshotting to each other and sending them to our group message that we have, the three of us. And all of us are like, the fuck is happening to this dude? Like something, he is acting so weird.
Mhm.
He's posting a bunch of Irish shit, like food, slogans. He's walking to a grocery store because his tires has been slashed or something, right?
Yeah, by his ex.
And then my favorite one, which alerted me that something was wrong, maybe not with him, but something situational was wrong,
Mhm.
was 2 weeks ago, not even maybe. He posted a video of the inside of his apartment and it was completely, utterly destroyed. Like, to me, it looked like someone had broken in and decided to rampage his apartment.
Yeah, for the listeners, like holes in the wall. You could see the wiring and pipes in the walls.
Yeah.
Furniture completely disassembled, and then it pans over to like a large pile of empty beer cans. And
Yeah.
that's when I was like, "Oh, he's gone off the deep end."
He did it himself. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, absolutely destroyed. And that being said, when all of these stories are taking place on Instagram and we're all realizing these and watching them in real time, he is a licensed attorney. And then last week, Holly showed us because we hadn't seen it, right? It was Holly. It wasn't you, right? It was Holly.
It was Holland.
Yeah. Holly sent us a screenshot from Facebook. And the screenshot on Facebook is from a different law school person, that a classmate of ours. And it basically just, the person who shall not be named, she said something along the lines of like, I'm not surprised this happened to one of my classmates, kind of thing. I'm not going to go into what she said because it was inappropriate, but you click on the link, attorney charged with threatening to kill commissioner. So we see this. Now, I'm not going to lie, Kylie, I saw this whole thing and I was like, it took me a second to realize what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the girl who posted on Facebook named our other male law school student. So I clicked on the fucking article, and that's when all hell went to hell. Like everything went to shit. And we all started freaking out in our group message. Basically, the guy who we've been keeping tracks on for like a month now, at least 2 months maybe,
Mm-hmm.
with his nutso stories, called the commissioner's office and in an Irish voice left multiple voicemails to the commissioner about how he was going to kill him. He wanted to kill him, saying racist slurs at like 4 a.m. in the morning. Well, it turns out arrest documents showed investigators traced the number that left the messages to blank's apartment. When they knocked on the door, blank Irish accent matched the voice heard on the phone. The document said family members told police that this man had been recently struggling with substance abuse issues and believed himself to be Irish, often speaking with an Irish accent. So they arrested our male classmate, who I want to state is not Irish. We saw 2 months ago he was posting Irish shit. We thought maybe he was just like, we all were very confused on what was happening.
No,
So,
when he started posting so much Irish stuff, I was like, maybe he just got his 23andMe results back.
and that's literally what we thought. And we were like, oh, maybe he's like half Irish and just found out and is excited and is going to Ireland soon or something, like bangers and mash and shit like that. Like he was posting Irish stuff. So to find out, because we all knew this student very well, like he was in the group and whatnot. I wouldn't say he was a friend, but he was definitely an acquaintance of all of ours. So they arrested him. He's now being held on a very massively large bond. We didn't know until we saw the articles, plural, because I read into a few of them, that his family later stated after his arrest that he had been struggling with addiction and mental health. And so that's where we wanted to put at the beginning of our overtime that like what we're about to say, we want to be careful with, because mental health and addiction mixed together is a horrible, horrible thing. So that's what we're all currently going through is I remember I told my mom, as soon as we were texting about this, I was telling my mom like in real time because I was sitting with her in person. And she was like, what? Wait, did I meet this student? I was like, you might have. Like, he was part of the class. It wasn't, he was around no matter where you were, kind of thing. And you wouldn't see him doing something like this. Two things to say. You never know what someone's going through. Okay, right? We all know that. You never know what someone's capable of. Like, it's just hopefully whatever happens to this guy going forward. I mean, there's a really good chance he will be convicted of this felony. There's blatant proof of it. Obviously, his attorney license is revoked at this point, but mental health, counseling, treatment, whatever he needs to get better. Fortunately, he didn't act on anything that he said, but it's got to be scary. Got to be scary.
Trying to like sum up like a life lesson. Yeah, I don't want to make a joke, but I have learned maybe don't talk shit about people's Instagram stories in the group chat if you think something's going on and then not do anything about it.
The last video was very alarming and we all thought that, but we also, just putting this out there for anybody who may end up critiquing us on this whole story, we have no relation to the dude. We have no relationship with him. We don't know anyone that actually has a relationship. Like, so it's not, we couldn't have done anything to prevent what happened. Fortunately, nothing physically happened, but because wow, would I have felt weird if something physically had happened.
Yeah, life lesson for listeners. If you know anyone's acting weird, check
Yep.
on them.
Check on your friends, slide into their DMs, but for a mental health check.
Yeah, what's going on, bud? Haven't talked
Yeah.
to you in a minute.
How you doing? Why are you speaking in an Irish accent?
Little things like that.
Little things. It's the little things, Kylie.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Over My Dead Pod. Maybe Holly will be back one day and you guys won't have to listen to just us talk.
Homegirl's busy.
She's busy, but she'll be back. She's alive, I promise.
Mm.
Oh, we should have prefaced Holly is not the one in jail.
Yes, yes, yes. Holly has nothing to do with the overtime story we said today. Male or female, whatever I represented, it had nothing to do with Holly.
Holly is not in jail,
She's
but
good.
she's good. And we'll see you guys next week with another case. Bye.
Bye.